What's up, business besties?
We're back on our business.
Hey guys, welcome to our podcast, Back on My Business. This is Jessie Holland.
Hi everyone, and I'm Alex Morales.
And guys, we have literally been talking about doing a podcast for a while now.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, and we're super excited to share our journeys in business, our personal lives with you, and really help impact women around the world to feel like they can literally go out and do anything when it comes to business. So, Alex, though, let's kind of share a little bit about how this even came about, because we know each other a little bit less than a year now, right?
Yeah, we've been virtual best friends. We've been almost a year, actually a year like this month. And when I moved to Arizona, I came into business and met the Jessie Holland, and we were like this like right away. And then we actually just met for the first time in Hawaii a few weeks ago. And this is how this podcast came to be. It's something we've been wanting to do. So
yeah, it was like we were in the jacuzzi in Hawaii, and we're like, we should start a podcast together.
Yeah,
and here we are.
So when I met you, Jessie, about a year ago when I came into the business for myself, you were the first person I was introduced to, and right away was a role model to me. Like the influence you had on me, the confidence you held as a woman, and how you were running your own business was just so inspiring. So that's how I came up with this podcast in general. I was like, other girls need to have someone in their life like this so that they can get into business for themselves. So you are what came to this podcast.
Be nothing without you obviously doing it together, because you are also new in business. So I think your perspective and all that you've accomplished in a short time is really going to help a lot of women. So
thank you. Yeah. How did you even get into it? Because you've been doing business on your own for a lot longer than me. I'm just a year in. How did that come to be?
Yeah. So I'd like to share a little bit about my journey, because it wasn't like I had dreamt of being an entrepreneur my whole life. After high school, I really didn't have like a vision for my future, like what I really wanted to do. I just loved like the CSI shows, and I was like, let's go maybe be a detective. So I went to community college. All my teachers were like divorced or in therapy, and I was like, this isn't how I want my future to be. And I dropped out of college, and I was very ashamed, and I thought people would judge me, and I just felt really behind, and it really hurt like my ego and everything. And then on top of that, I was like working at Starbucks.
So it's crazy that you say like you had no idea you would ever go into business yourself. You didn't have the confidence you have now, because when I met you, you would have never known that this was a whole new Jessie. So it's really incredible, because you're a completely different person from then. So you dropped out of college. Did you know what you wanted to go into, or did you always know you were going to work for yourself, or how did that kind of?
No. So, I was working at Starbucks, and I was like, my friend actually got a serving job, and she was making really good money. So I was like, let's go into serving. But through that time, you're in such a bad environment, because you work late, you're out drinking, you're partying, and I was just like really, really stuck in a rut. But I actually had a really good friend who opened up a real estate brokerage at the time, and he was like, come work with us. So that was like my first jump into entrepreneurship. And keep in mind, like when I got my license, like I thought, like I was still in the 9-to-5 mindset. I quit my serving job, not knowing you got to work to make money. It takes time. It's a process. So, that was kind of my journey into entrepreneurship, which I'm definitely going to dive into it with you guys a little bit more on, how I built my confidence, how I got to kind of where I am today. But I want you to share your story, because you actually are from corporate America, but before that you went to college, right?
Yeah. So I kind of had a different story. I went 4 years through college, or actually I graduated early. So I was in college for like 3.5 years. I have always been an extremely hard worker. So I worked my way through college. I was paying for my rent in college. I bought my first car, and I always knew that I was going to go into business for myself. honestly didn't know the vehicle that was going to take me there or the route that would even get me there. So naturally, like, I went into corporate America, left college, graduated, and went straight into tech sales. And it was crazy, but like a month in, I was like, there's no way I can work a 9 to 5 or be working for someone else I can't be doing this for more than a year. So I stuck it out for about a year, and I gained a lot of knowledge from it, but I just knew, like, right off the bat from being in a 9 to 5 environment that I was never going to develop into the person I need to be or get where I wanted to be in that type of workspace. So I did that for, I think it was a little less than 1 year. And then I kind of just made the jump all in to go into business for myself. And I haven't looked back.
Yeah, you've been absolutely crushing it.
Yeah.
So question though, you mentioned like early on, you knew you were going to be in business one day. Where does that stem from?
Yeah, that's a good question. It really stems from just me working my whole, like, I was working in high school 2 jobs. I was paying for a lot of the things myself. That's just how my parents raised me. So like working hard was nothing new to me. I knew that was gonna take me to where I needed to be. But you know, when you're in college, you're not being told like go work for yourself. You're told to graduate, find a stable job, and that's gonna get you to wherever you're trying to go. And when I moved to Arizona, it was crazy, but when I was meeting all these people, nobody around me was working a 9 to 5, no one. And they had more freedom than me. They were making more money than me, and they just seemed like generally happier. So it really was going away from my past environment, moving to a state I've never been in. I didn't know anyone. And that's kind of what made me realize, like, okay, I have to do something differently because I'm not going to grow if I'm really in any corporate job.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you did the tech sales, and then you got introduced to obviously what you're doing now. And yeah, that's amazing.
And just went all in.
That's cool. So I love that you mentioned like your environment changing really impacted you also stepping out of your comfort zone. So
Yeah.
if you're because you lived in Florida.
Yeah, so I went to school in Florida State, so I was in Tallahassee for 3 or 4 years. I stayed for a little bit after I graduated, and then I was like, I need a new environment. I don't want to stay in Florida. I don't want to go back home. So I really just sent it to Arizona, which is crazy because we flopped.
We did. So guys, I was living in Florida. No, so I lived in Arizona, moved to Florida, and we literally flip-flopped at the same time.
I moved to Arizona, and then she moved to Florida, and then we met virtually, which is so funny.
Oh my God, that's crazy. So yeah, that environment switch obviously helped you feel like it was comfortable.
100%. Everyone around here in Arizona, they were just moving very differently from what I knew and grew up on. So yeah, it was like my 1 year mark. I was like, I cannot physically work for someone else, be in this 9 to 5 any longer. So I just kind of try to find people around me, find new opportunities, and then that's kind of what made me switch over.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think environment plays like a huge role in, you know, in like your journey, because if you are constantly surrounded by people who aren't thinking bigger or aren't getting uncomfortable, you can get complacent. So I think that's really important to like talk about. When you got into business, did you notice that you were maybe losing friends, or your family was like not really bought in on what you were doing? Did you feel any resistance?
I felt a little resistance. Like when I switched over, started working completely for myself, I started to obviously just really focus on like personal development growth. So I was just pouring into myself, and that's why I love sales, because really like your success is reliant on your personal growth. My family was super supportive. They all knew, like, there was no resistance on that end. I've always been like, whatever I want, I'm going to go get it. And they know that. But I definitely had some like friends and family members who were like, you're maybe working too hard at like, slow down a little bit. So that's a good point that you bring up, like surrounding yourself around people who are where you want to be.
Yeah,
sure.
When I transitioned into business, I lost so many friends, and it wasn't even like fallouts or anything. It was just like the visions weren't aligning. And then the free time I had prior, like I told you, I was like serving. So like my nighttime gal friends, like I wasn't out at the clubs anymore.
Yeah.
going to bars really late and things like that when I was transitioning. So I feel like you can feel really lonely through that journey. So I think it's important to talk about with, women, like when you are stepping out of your comfort zone, trying something new, it can be kind of like a lonely experience. But through that loneliness, like what did you, because we talked about
find yourself, like you really are going to find yourself. And that's exactly what happened to me. I did feel like I lost some friends along the way, but when you're fully into developing and growing as a person, like the things that aren't supposed to be in your life are going to weed themselves out, and then the things that are meant to stay in will stay. So it did feel a little bit lonely, but I knew it was part of the journey. I knew it was for the better. So
yeah, it's all healthy.
And you actually, because I used to serve, I served out all throughout high school and college as well. You never even went into corporate America. You never even worked for someone else. So
no.
Do you think that kind of had an impact on how you found your success when it came to switching over, being full entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I feel like with serving, I had that flexibility of like I can trade a shift or take time off. If I worked more hours, I'd make more money. So I never actually experienced a capped income or being like that's Monday through Friday, which I'm blessed. I mean, when I was working, no, I never have. So I think my first entrepreneurial experience, like it wasn't that much of a difference. The only thing wasn't the nightly cash I was taking home.
Yeah, well, even because going into a commission only role, which if you're going into business for yourself, it's gonna be commission only.
Yeah.
That can be very, very terrifying for someone who's never done that. And that was me. I was in tech sales after college, which I was getting commission, but I had a base pay, so it didn't really matter. So going commission only seemed terrifying, but based on like everyone I was talking to who was commission only, that is the way to go 100%. Were you terrified at all, or was that always your mindset? Like, well, I want to be in control of what I make anyways.
Absolutely. I would bet on myself all the time. Like when I said, like when I passed my exam, I literally quit my other job and I was like, I'm going to do this. Like I'm all in. I unfortunately had to get another job because it wasn't as quick as I wanted it to be. I was expecting like fast results, which I learned really quick, and it humbled me, which I'm super thankful for. Guys, there's no get rich fast scheme out there.
Yeah. So if you hear anyone say get rich, run away, run the opposite way.
Yeah. But I learned so much, and I think, me going all in for the few months I did, like I grew exponentially because I had nothing holding me back. I burnt all the boats. I was all in, But yeah, there was a lot of fear. I feel like some people don't do well with their backs against the wall, like pressure. Mm-hmm. But I think for me, like it really fueled me. And for people that maybe do feel that pressure, like it's absolutely normal. Like I still sometimes do to this day feel a little bit of pressure, but use it as a way to like move you forward versus, I can't do this or I need to find another option. If you have one option and no other options, it's going to work every time if you bet on yourself and you go all in.
And I know you mentioned like you're always betting on yourself. I really would argue that like the best bet you can make is literally on yourself. So if you're in a position where you're not in business for yourself, or you're not doing something solely for yourself, the hardest part usually is the initial jump and literally just betting on yourself. So I was the same exact way. I've always been like that. Like I know the best bet is going to be myself. And that's exactly what I did when I decided to switch over. I burned all bridges and was like, I'm going all in. And you're so right. Like when you have your back against the wall, there's no way except up, really.
Exactly.
So but I love that you mentioned that.
You have to be like certain though, like it's gonna work. Like you have to, because I have had many moments, and I'm not perfect, guys. Like I've been like, I've looked at other options. I was like, maybe, but it's crazy when I took that energy and just applied it to my business and I was fully 100% in. It always worked. Like I always made it. My bills, I always survived. Like I got through and I learned. So that really happens a lot at the beginning. I would even say like my first 2 years in business, There was
A little uncertainty.
it wasn't like uncertain, like I knew I would never leave, but I would kind of look for other things to maybe supplement. But I noticed when I was even looking, it was taking away energy and time versus just investing, because I was never going to leave my business. It was just other options.
So how did you fully get into the business you're in now and being in a position where you are working for yourself, really creating the future that you want?
Guys, it's time. Like when you're building your business, there's no clocking in, clocking out. Like if it takes 80 hours to 100 hours to get the job done during the week, like that's okay. That's time invested towards you and your business. And you, especially in sales, if you're working 80 to 100 hours like a week, you are going to win no matter what.
Yeah.
So what was the question?
Well, I was asking, when you switched over and decided to go completely all in, how were you even given that opportunity? Because I know you went from serving. How did you switch over? But you did bring up a good point just now, so I want to bring up another point after you answer that question.
I mean, it was a friend. It was like, so
you went all in.
I was like, so my first business venture that I did really exposed me to sales. Like the fundamentals, like dialing, door knocking. Like when I tell you, when I started business, I was this shy little girl. Don't look at me. I would cover my mouth whenever I would talk or laugh, like very, very shy.
Crazy, because
I've come a long way.
Yeah.
But through door knocking and cold calling and people hanging up on you, screaming in your face, you build this backbone, this, you know what I mean? Okay, it's a new objection I got, or a new rebuttal I got, or a new scenario I got. And then I just went home and practice. And over time, guys, confidence is literally repetition. Confidence is doing things over and over and over again. And literally through that, I'm telling you, sales has made me into the woman I am today, because it's challenged me to do things that school never taught me to go and do, right?
100%.
It's things that they don't teach you, or, you may go learn it and just communicating with people out in the world, but it's different. It grows you personally, professionally, your personal relationships. My the man I'm with right now, I would have never attracted him if it wasn't the woman I am today, right? The people that I work with, I wouldn't have tracked those people if I wasn't the work that I put in today.
Yeah. And it's funny because I know you mentioned when you go into sales or just any entrepreneurial role, you are working way more than you would working as a server or even in tech sales, any corporate America. But I remember when I made the switch over, I've said to one of my friends, I can't do the 9 to 5. I need to get out of that. And she was like, but now you're working more hours.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm it's completely different though when you're working for yourself. And that's why I love sales, and why I think every single person, whether it's one kind of sales or the other, needs to get into a role like that, because your success is completely 100% reliant on you. And you are going to be working more, but you're not working for somebody else. You're not paying someone else's bills. You're literally building yourself and developing as a person. So it doesn't feel like work, and it really isn't work when you're working on yourself.
Yeah. When it comes to stability, that's super important for me. I never want to be in a position where I have to wait for the top guy to die for me to even get a chance, right? I may not even outlive that person. Or I don't want someone dictating what I'm worth per hour if I'm working more or harder than other people. Or I don't want to hold back because I know people are slacking and we're getting paid the same and I'm not fully applying myself. So one thing about sales, and I'll tell you guys, is every day, you got to empty out the tank. It is the best feeling when you lay your head down at night and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. That was a day. That's when you know you're exerting yourself and your full potential. And that's what I literally love about sales. You have to apply it all. No matter how you feel, you got to really put all your energy into every single day.
And what kind of drew you into being a business owner? Was it the financial freedom? Were you looking for generational wealth? What was okay, this is going to get me to where I want to be?
Yeah.
Because I know specifically, I had so many things that I'm this I want done by when I'm 25. This I need to be here when I'm 26, here when I'm 27. And I had these goals, and I knew that whatever position I was in, I had to be working for myself to get there.
Absolutely. I think,
Yeah.
I'm like so excited to talk about vision and everything, but I want to really talk about leadership. When I started the sales position, I didn't want anyone's success to be like win or fail. Like, I was scared that I would fail someone. So I actually held back on getting into leadership 6 months into the business because I was terrified of maybe not training someone correctly, because I can be very like kind of like a perfectionist. So I solely just cared about like my sales. But once I tapped into leadership, oh my gosh, the feeling of someone winning, the feeling of someone getting a sale, the feeling of someone being able to pay their bills, or like I would have agents call me crying, like, I just sold someone.
You
Like,
had that impact on me, so I could go on and on about that.
oh, it's
Yeah.
just the best feeling. So I want to like, and we'll have like a whole episode on leadership and stuff, but I want people to like step into that role as soon as possible, because what actually kept me in this specific career is the impact on helping other people.
Yeah.
The sales are great, but where I genuinely like feel so fulfilled is now helping other people like get to where, you know, they want to be, which is super important.
I mean, once you step into like you're a business owner, you have to untap that leadership skills. And me coming in, I was 23 coming in, no experience in leadership at all. And it was the same for me. I came in, thought I just wanted to like kind of focus on my own production and build myself up. But it really was, speaking to you, Jessie, like you were my mentor when I came into business for myself. You were my trainer, and then very quickly my friend. So seeing the impact you had on me, I was like, I can't do a disservice to anyone else who I need to help or mentor, because if that person doesn't have a mentor like you were to me, it would have been completely different for me.
Thank you. That's
yeah,
really sweet.
It's really amazing to see your journey, though. You talking about how you were very closed off and not confident, because everyone who you meet now, you leave an impact on really everyone. So I love that.
Thank you so much. And I really think it helps though when there's someone like yourself that's like super hardworking, shows up like, Jessie, what can I do? Jessie, what can I do? I want to get better. I want to get better. Like, that's the other thing too, guys. Like, in order to find a good leader out there, you have to put in effort. And that was you. Like, I looked forward to working with you every day. Like, I looked forward to, and that is why you are where you are so fast. So
I love you.
I literally love you too.
But that's a good point. And I want to bring it back to when you said a lot of people, when they go into business themselves, they are looking for the instant success or the instant results. Coming into the business, I luckily had like mentors like you, other people in the business that told me right off the bat, like, you need to spend your first year, your first 2 years developing the skill set you need to be successful, developing into the person you need to be. So that's kind of what I want to help other people going into business for themselves for, is to realize like you just need to be a student your first year, because it's so crucial your first year that you're just pouring in, building your skill set, learning how to be a business owner, and really not looking for that instant success right there.
Yeah, because you guys have to think, like, if I wanted to go and be a teacher, a doctor, a police officer, I have to go to school. I have to put in 2, 3, 4 years, get a degree. So when you're coming into business, you guys have to understand it's the same process. You have to put in the time to learn, to develop X, Y, and Z, everything else that comes with it. So when people jump in entrepreneurship, because it's so glamorized everywhere, which it is, it's a very glamorous industry. However, though, the beginnings aren't that glamorous. Like, you have to go internally through things and reprogram your like beliefs and also like your ways and your transitioning. So just know, guys, whenever you're starting, it's super uncomfortable. It's gonna take time. There is no get rich quick thing out there. So whatever venture you're taking, know and be patient that the first few years, like, that's actually the fun part. If I could go back to my first 90 days, I literally went through HELL. Like, I cried every day. I quit. I blocked my mentor multiple times. I swear. Sorry, David. But those were personal things that I had to like dig in and work through because I didn't like being told no. But I had to learn that that's like a normal thing in sales.
But what was getting you through that? Because that's something that really isn't talked about, is how many times you're going to get a no, how many times you're going to fail.
More than yeses.
Yeah, how many like times you're going to doubt yourself, lose your confidence. What's pushing you through that? Because for you, at least, I'm sure when I started, you knew what was on the other side for me. So I had you there to be like, just keep going. You literally just need to keep going. You can't quit. Did you have someone in your life who was helping you through that? Or did you have to literally navigate like, okay, are these feelings of self-doubt, lack of confidence normal? Is this a sign that I should quit? Is this like, how did you even get through it?
Yeah, if you're not feeling any of that, by the way, something's wrong, because that's all normal feelings. But yes, I had a mentor and I clung to his side. I'm not kidding you. Wherever he's going, I'm going. Lunch, dinner, like I was annoying. I was calling him all the time. I need help with this. I would literally leave a home. What do I do? What do I do? Guys, and I showed results. Like I first had to show up and show results to gain that time. So guys, it takes time, but you got to put in that work ethic first. But when I was showing results, he was showing up for me more too. And the biggest advice that I would give, guys, is don't go to your family. Don't go to your friends, because they're not going to understand the industry. They're not going to understand, especially if they don't have what you want. Like, you need to talk to people who've done it before, because they're going to be able to relate. They're going to be able to understand. They're going to be able to guide you literally step by step what they did to get to where they are. So my biggest thing is I would take it home to my family, and then there was these like, wait, maybe you should quit, like this, you're working too hard. And then now it's like I wasn't getting like support from them, which support from your family and friends is really, really important, right? So yeah, I think number one, guys, find a mentor, literally show up, be the hardest worker in the room. Like, you're going to gain their time, their trust, and they're going to want to pour into you. And that's literally all I did. But on top of that, I had to do a lot of inner work, podcasts, reading. Like, I had to literally reprogram my, like, the way I would react to emotions, or the way, you know, like little things I would do in the past and things like that. So not only was I literally learning a whole entire career, I was trying to learn Jessie. Like, Jessie was going through things too, which is normal. That's why I say if I can go back to my first 90 days, I would, because it was probably the most like exponential growth I've ever experienced. The most.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
100% agree with that.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I've never experienced more personal development growth than the first like 6-7 months that I started to go into business for myself. Never had that throughout college, never had that while playing sports. Any adversity I've been faced, it's never pushed me to the levels that going into business has. So I love that you brought that up. I know when I first started, it was something that you always brought up to me, is your why, and why you're going into business for yourself, how that's going to push you to not quit on yourself. Can you lean a little into that? Because I know that's huge for you, your why.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important, guys, to identify what it is that you want in life. Like, why are you working 80 hours a week? Why are you transitioning from a 9-to-5 to sales? And who are you doing it for? For me, when I first started, my why was to literally just pay my bills. But throughout time, when I was able to sustain my bills, my why grew and grew and grew. So if you don't have a why or don't know what your why is, that's okay. It can be small, but over time you can identify it. But your why literally needs to make you like emotional. Because when you get those no's, when you have a bad day, when you want to quit, you need to be able to pull up your why, read through it, and be like, okay, this is exactly what I'm doing it for. So, you know, we went over, you know, our whys and everything like that. What, like, how do you feel like it's helped you by identifying like why you're here and like what you want out of this?
Yeah, so like I was saying, like when I was in college or even in high school when I was working, I knew I was going to be working for myself. I've never been a girl that ever was going to rely on literally anyone, not a man, like no one. I I want to provide for myself. I want to be able to live the life I want to live. So even in college, like I took classes on sales. I was lucky enough that my school had an actual school for sales. So I always knew that I was going into business. Again, I just never knew how to get there because it's not really taught like in college. So my why specifically for me is that I wanted to prove it to myself that as a girl, I can have it all. I can do it all. I can provide for myself, live the life I want to live. So going into sales was kind of a no-brainer for me, but I did need to have the guidance and mentors to tell me like, this is how you need to go about it though, because corporate sales isn't it. So I guess just I've always had that vision. I always knew what I wanted. I just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Was it the same for you or no?
Yeah, I mean, I like didn't know what I wanted to do, but I was actually really drawn more to the money at first, just being 100% honest. Like, and then I think just through that and like navigating, I was able to like really be able to identify what it is. Like, is this actually a future? Is this, but at first, like I told you, it was just like a lot at once. But yeah, like 100%, like my why is to be able to take care of like me, future generations to come, like even take care of my parents. Like this sales has allowed me to, like when my mom was in ICU and she literally had to quit her job. She's the breadwinner in the household. Like I was able to sustain their bills and take care of them. So just my why's changed so much throughout my career, but that's why it's important to like monthly evaluate, like double check, dive back in. Do I want more? Do we need to change this? Because it's easy to kind of get lost when you're just going through the motions every day,
Yeah, I love your story too, just because I have a lot of friends who never really was in business or anything related, and they'll tell me now, like, I don't know anything about business. I don't know anything about money. I don't know anything about that. But what I try to tell so many girls is that, like, this is a skill set you learn. Like, going into business for yourself, sales, confidence, that's a skill set that you have to learn. So whether you think you don't have what it takes or you think you never could go into business for yourself, like, you need to reset your mind to know that just like anything, it's something you work on and it's something you get better at. Because I definitely didn't have, even taking sales classes in college and then going into tech sales after, I still didn't learn the skill set that I needed. None of that really prepped me to work for myself until I fully went all in and had no other choice but to learn how to be good at it.
Yeah.
So I love that because you're really like a prime example of someone who, and I am too, because I was not as confident. I had no experience in like actual sales at running a business for myself. I'm 24, so I still am like, I have so much to learn, but what I've learned the last year from being in business myself versus all the past work experience I've had, it's just been crazy. So
I literally I started business, I told you at 22, like I just see, like I just see me. I'm like, Alex, do this. These are things I messed up on. You have such a bright future. I'm literally excited for you.
From day one, I was like, when I met you, I was like, I need to copy and paste. Like,
you're smart.
Yeah, I'm very smart for that. But it's so true. Like when you have someone who literally, like right off the bat, I was like, this is a strong, confident girl who is running her own business, who wouldn't take no from anyone. How do I become that? Because I was not that person. I was 23, had no experience in it really. So it kind of ties into like what you said about having a mentor, having someone who's where you want to be, and you just need to copy and paste, which I know I've heard you on videos talking about that exactly, how you need to just literally do exactly what your mentor's doing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. So can you lean a little in on the mentors you've had in your life and how that's impacted you?
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, I know you can't cheat in college and high school, but you can in business.
But like,
just copy and paste. Yeah, I mean, the mentors I've had have been, honestly, I could cry, like amazing, like family. I'm such
This is why we started this podcast. I know, because the impact that the mentors we have in our life made us want to do it for other girls who maybe don't have that in their life, or who haven't thought that they could ever go into business for themselves.
Yeah.
So it is emotional.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is. Yeah, I mean, the mentors I've had, they've changed my life. Like, they've opened their arms up, they've taken me in, like, tears, happy times. So at first, like, it's a little hard to, like, figure out where to find a mentor and things like that. But if you know, I mean, we have so much access, like social media, things like that, like YouTube, all these different platforms for you to like branch out and be able to find like a mentor. But yeah, just through the business, like I said, like my mentor, everything that he had, I wanted. The confidence, the everything, the sales skills, the leadership, the way that he would just stand on a stage and be able to talk to hundreds of people. Like, so I literally just, ego down, erased everything from my past as much as I could, although I was internally like learning and breaking old habits and things. But no resistance. You tell me what to do. Pen and paper is right here. I'm going to sprint. I'm going to go. Like, I'm here. Like, and yeah, it's just that relationship built so seamlessly because there was like all my trust was in. I was all in. There was no resistance, no ego. Guys, you can't go into business with ego. And if you're going into new business, like take some of the skill sets, but you do have to come with a clean slate, like ready to learn, because every industry is very different, unique, you know?
100%.
So when it comes to like mentorship, yeah, you just literally need to find someone that has what you want. Like, it's as simple as that.
And copy and paste.
Just copy and paste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could go on and on about like your circle and who you surround yourself with, but it goes to show though, like if you're not growing as a person, you do need to reflect on the people you're surrounding yourself with, because your circle is so huge. Like, you need to be around people who are pushing you, who are where you want to be, who are going to be supportive of everything, and who are thinking as big as you, because it's something that I had to reflect on, like when I started, and we talked about in the beginning, losing some people, but it's true. Like, if you want a mentor and somebody you can look after, it really first stems down to the people you're surrounding yourself with in the present, right?
Yeah.
Down there.
Whoever has your ear has your future. So, but yeah, guys, this was our first podcast. We're super excited. We have so many great things coming out. We're really excited to share with you. So if you guys have questions or anything you specifically want us to really dive into, just go ahead and engage. You can leave a comment, DM us personally. But yeah,
we're going to be dropping episodes every single week. And really, we're just here to be role models and mentors to girls who want to get into business for themselves, or who are in business for themselves and want a bigger friend group of girls who are like-minded. So really come with questions. If you support us, if you like us, if you want to learn from us, we will be releasing it every week. So we're super excited. There's no one else I would rather want to be doing this with. So
we're your business besties. I literally wanted to say that.
Yes. I wanted to say that from the beginning. Business besties.
Yes, we're your business besties. But cool, guys. We'll see you soon. Thank you.